Good morning, YouTube. Because I'm me and my life goes the way it goes today, I haven't gotten to say much new to you. I spent the morning posting yesterday's work, and I said a lot more yesterday than I thought I was going to. So now we walked to the Christ table, the food kitchen, or whatever it's called, and I have come to a revelation. Part of the reason these shoes are wearing my feet out so bad is I think they're a half size too small. And that is not of my doing. That is something that is a result of the abuse, torture that I have just withstood for the last 3 years. I told her these were going to be too small, and she insisted on ordering them online because this brand of boot, it's actually a combat boot. They're designed to be waterproof, but to breathe so that your feet don't get all sweaty and sticky. And when I used to hike in the hills, Hocking Hills, I think is what it's. No, that's not right. Hocking Hills is in Dayton. It's like Yellow Springs. When I used to hike in Yellow Springs, Ohio, and when I used to do a ton of walking around Columbus, and when I used to bicycle. See, I used to be a commuter bicycle. That's how I fucked up my knee and my groin. I wrecked my bike, and I gave myself saddle sores that just shredded one day. It was bad. That was awful. It hurt. Still hurts. I'm still limping, still dragging that leg. Anyway, I walked all the way out of them. I walked the soles completely off. I got them at a military surplus store. They were great. They're really not expensive. I think the brand is Bates. Great shoes. And so anyway, I wanted to start hiking, and she was all gung-ho to go hiking and being outdoorsy and stuff. When you first get together, girls lie about their interests and how they want to spend their time with you. When you're an active and interesting and engaged person, they'll lie about being active and interesting and engaged in their lives because they want you. They want you to like them. And that's just how life goes, and there's not a criticism in that. But anyway, she was an online shopper, and she insisted, I can get these shoes, and if they're too small, I'll just send them back. And I put them on, and I was like, these feel like they're the exact size of my foot. And so if my foot gets bigger from walking around more, if I start doing that again, because it had been some time since I'd walked for real and really hiked because of my injury, and it's just give them back. So you take what you've got when you become homeless, and I've got these, and I got a pair of sandals that have got a busted strap. She refused to help me get new hiking sandals. I like an open heel. You've probably seen my sandals. I like an open heel sandal with a partially closed toe, so my toes aren't getting tangled up in thorns and weeds, and a decent sole. But I also, I like to not have to wear socks with my sandals when I go out. So I like wet feet in a way. I like to be able to walk through rivers, and I like to be able to walk through tall, wet grass without the of wet feet. Or whatever, without the misery of shoes that you don't want to be wet being wet. I've spent a lot of time outdoors, and so if you haven't, you won't really know what I'm talking about. But if you go hiking and you spend a lot of time just kind of wandering around, wet socks are fucking horrible. Like last night, I think I made a major mistake, actually. Last night, I tucked the socks that I wore yesterday because I have passed 3 cops in 3 different style cars just in this 5-minute walk. Anyway, I tucked my socks up under my legs, last night. I slept on top of my socks. I let them dry for a couple of hours, but then once it started to get cold and damp, I tucked them up into my sleeping bag under my legs. And I'm not convinced now that I don't smell like my feet, and that's kind of my nightmare. But that's kind of what I'm talking about. Once you get your socks wet, oh my God, it's impossible to get them dry. And the same, once you get a pair of canvas shoes that aren't waterproof wet, it's just impossible to get them dry. And so what I'm hoping is that these shoes are the exact right size, and that what the problem is that the leather is very supple. It is very stiff. And so what I'm hoping is that as I walk in them, it's going to turn out that as the leather stretches out, they're the exact right size for my feet, and that the blisters that I'm getting on the tops of my toes on my right foot and on the back of my heel on my left foot are just one of the symptoms of walking around in the exact right size of shoes, because I've always worn shoes that I knew were at least a size too big. But that might be because I've never been to a cobbler, right? Most of us, like women with their bras, right? You don't really know what your bra size is until you go to a professional and you have your bra made. And so because I've never really gone to a cobbler, I've never gone and had my foot measured and had a shoe made for my foot, I've never just had proper footwear. And so there's a certain amount of, I was thinking yesterday about nutrition, and I was thinking about clothing, and there's a certain amount of, we do what athletes and what rich people do because, well, there must be a virtue to their lives. They must be smarter than us. They must know something that we don't know. But then I really got to thinking about it, and athletes don't know what they're eating. They pay someone to tell them what they eat. In fact, if they work like for the NFL, if you're employed by the NFL just has a nutritionist who feeds you, right? Or if you're Tom Brady, you just have a guy who feeds you, tells you what to eat. And sure, you write your damn cookbook, but you didn't come up with all that shit. That was just stuff that you took under the parameters of your diet and whatever. Fuck Tom Brady and that damn cookbook. That's besides the point. But I think that we have this quasi-religious idea. Yeah, my toes are like jammed together. I don't think these shoes are going to fit my feet ever. And so that's just another thing that I need to buy, is a good pair of hiking shoes. They're going to be dry and warm throughout the winter, but whatever. I don't think we really pay good attention to what we know and what we don't know, and I don't think we update what we know. I know we don't update what we know in real time as we know it. I know that we're always between 10 and 50 years behind what science is telling us is true, and a lot of that is the fatigue between splitting the atom in 80, where as people who were enthusiastic about science and about change got old, they became significantly less enthusiastic about science and about change, as they had to change their diets every 6 months. The meme is tomatoes, right? Tomatoes were good for you, tomatoes were bad for you, tomatoes gave you cancer, tomatoes are good for you again. This up, down of science, nutrition science especially, really jaded a lot of people against science. And so we're inclined naturally to be jaded against change anyway, especially as we approach 50 years. Once you cross the 30-year boundary, you're just disinclined to want to see change happen. So I'm at the Christ table. There are a bunch of people around. I'm not trying to film anybody. So thank you for listening. I'll get back. I'll have something actually to say later. I'm going to do my reading, spoopy ween, etc. I'll talk to you then. Thank you.